And Bill puts on Winds of Thor, and he had 4 bars going to it. And he goes, "Hey, you guys want to be on Metal Massacre too?"
You were working on the new Warlord, a tribute to your longtime friend, your fallen comrade there, Bill. How much of it did he have down? Did he have all the guitars, the bass, the drum? What did he have? What did he leave you with?
Basically, there was 2 or 3 songs that him and I were working on that I have in my computer. And you're like, okay, going back to 2016, 2017. He was physically ill where he couldn't do it. Physically, he couldn't do it. Couldn't get to that point. So I had those. I had his actual guitar tracks that we used on the record. Then there was a lot of demos that we had done back in the early 80s. Worms of the Earth, For Whom the Bell Tolls were a couple of the songs that we've been playing. By the way, you're spraying it all over the place. Okay. So we had music that we'd done in the past. Giles, Jimmy, and Eric Juris, the guitar player, were the ones who did the real heavy lifting, put it all together. I mean, Philip and I played the drums and the bass, that was it. They did everything as far as, you know, some of it was just like ideas that were out of tempo, out of time, that Jimmy and Giles and Eric put in song form. So it's not like the album was done and we just came in, you know, like a cover band and played it. There was a lot that those guys did to really put it together.
Did Giles write any of the lyrics?
He had to, yeah. There was a lot of songs didn't have lyrics. You know, he was a great friend of Bill's. He was actually, you know, I've said it a million times that he was a better friend to Bill than I was. I mean, Bill and I had massive respect for each other. We'd known each other 30, 40, 50 years, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Never once had an argument about anything. It was kind of like, okay, this is what you do, this is what I do, and it comes together, and we've never had a problem. But Giles was like, you know, would go to Florida and spend weeks with him, you know, and be on the phone and emails and text.
Well, he didn't have a family.
That's true too, but also too, I'll be very honest with you, Bill and I, as much as we were raised the same, we were raised San Jose, you know, there's good, or there's right, there's wrong, and if you step that line, you're going to get your ass beat, okay? We were not, you know, I was more of kind of a business guy, and he was more of a, not religious, but what do they call it, theological, or, you know, kind of, he was more into that kind of thing. I was into, let's get this thing going. What do we got to do to get this going? I mean, that's great lyrics. Okay, that's cool. That's great. Right. But we weren't exactly, you know, I mean, we could hang out together, but we were both into sports, but we weren't like, you know, buddies per se. You know? Plus, he lived, you know, halfway across the country. You know, he lived in Florida. I lived in here. So.
Now, what year did he move to Florida? And why?
It was way after the band. You know, he actually got a degree in theology, I guess, and he was teaching at a small private college in in Florida.
Very cool. Yeah. Good for him.
He had that in him. Yeah. The big thing that a lot of people have to realize by the band, it didn't break up. I guess dissolving might be a good word. Here we are, struggling. You know, we're eating. You know, day to day. Did a great first EP, Deliver Us.
I was listening to it today. It definitely stands up.
You know, and then we did the video because we're thinking, okay, we got to get the band out there. No one in Europe. See, this is the era where Motley Crue, Poison, all those bands, and Warlord was not that kind of band. So we did the video, you know, out of our own pocket, thinking that, okay, people in Europe got to see this because that's where things will start to catch on. Bill just got unbelievably frustrated with the whole thing. Nothing happened. We're sitting here, can't hold on to a singer to say. It's not that we couldn't hold on to him. We couldn't find a singer that would fit the bill. Yeah. So that made it very difficult. And I'll never forget, there's a great story. There was a manager back then named Michael Browning who managed AC/DC at the time. So I don't know how he pulled it off, but we have the Deliver Us EP. Yeah. And we go up to his Hollywood Hills. It wasn't a mansion by any means, but Hollywood, the classic, you know, the 70s. Yeah. I'm expecting to see like Jackson Browne or Linda Ronstadt walk out or something. But anyway, so we go up there and he puts the album on, sits down, doesn't say a word, flips it over, listens to the whole thing, picks up the thing, puts it back, and goes, "You know, you guys have a platinum record there, right?" So me and Bill are going, like, not that we're getting giddy, but we're kind of going, I'm waiting for the but. Okay?
Right.
And it's coming.
Yeah.
He goes, "But no one's ever going to hear it because you're on a really small label." And it was true. Brian Slagle was great to us. He always has been great to us. But he was just starting then too.
And
Metal Blade.
you go. Yeah,
Metal Blade.
This is Metal Blade
Yeah,
before
Metal
Metal Blade was Metal Blade.
Yeah, no, he was starting. I'll never forget. We walked into Oz Records, is where he worked. And he's the guy behind the counter. And Bill puts on Winds of Thor, and he had 4 bars going to it. And he goes, "Hey, you guys want to be on Metal Massacre 2?" So that was, and then we were on Metal Massacre 3. And then we did the Deliver Us EP. I mean, Brian was great. He was just starting out. He didn't have the oomph. All those other bands we talked about were on major labels. I mean, we were lucky. That Deliver Us record, okay, that you say stands up and is a classic.
It does.
It's $800. The engineer was a great engineer, but he smoked cocaine cigarettes the whole time. And actually, we got mocked by Stuart Copeland. He was friends with Stuart Copeland. So Stuart Copeland stops by and he mocks us.
Wonderful.
Okay,
That's nice.
That's okay. That's okay. It's not a big deal. But the 2 bass drums and the bass guitar are all on one track. So it was amazing what you got out of that. But Bill just got so frustrated after we did everything that we had to do. We did the video out of our own pocket, which is a whole story for another day.
Yeah.
And it just, it wasn't going anywhere. And he just, to be honest, I think he got tired of starving. I think he got tired of living in cockroach-infested upper floor warehouse. I mean, North Hollywood, summertime, no air conditioning.
Yeah.
And a window about this big.
Yeah.
My cymbals were hot to the touch.
Sure.
We used to call it Warlord Manor.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. We'd play. It was the greatest
Yeah.
time because no responsibility. And we just play. I mean, Yngwie would come by. Robin Crosby would come by. This person would come by. There'd be people sitting on the floor all the time. And we'd just be going through the songs, of course, with no singer.
Right.
But we were tight.
They had a singer.
No, absolutely. And then it just...
And there were so many around. How
Well,
could you not find? Who was so picky? Was it Bill? He was looking because you told me in the sit-down interview, right? The Warlord. That was a whole Bill concept, right?
Yep.
He had everything in his head.
Yep.
Okay, the whole idea, the way it's going to look, the way it's going to sound, the way it's going to play, everything.
Yep.
So he just couldn't find the right vocal. You know what I'm? He had
it's-
that in his head.
It's twofold. Yes, he was, quote, picky because you had to be good. You didn't have to be Ronnie James Dio, but you had to be able to sing. Bill was pitching all these guys the lines. There's nothing creative coming out of it. Bill just needed them as a voice.
Right.
But the other one is, too, everybody was looking for money. We interviewed Mark Bowles. We talked to Mark Bowles, talked to Jeff Scott Soto, talked to Neil Turbin. I mean, I'm sure there's more and more that we talked to that could have went on to bigger and better.
Yeah.
They were looking for money. Everybody was looking for, but you got to remember, as much as we were starving in $800 records, that's when that LA hair metal thing started to pop.
Right.
That's where I saw actually Rat get blown off the stage by some cover band or something. Way before in a club about this big. Valley West Country Club or whatever.
That's great.
That's
great.
It's just time and a place, and Bill and I used to say all the time, or to me anyways, Warlord was always the coulda, shoulda, woulda band. It just was wrong place, wrong time, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
It just, I don't know. It just there was something magical about it.
And then you go and join this other band, this amazing prog rock band, Fate's Warning, just in time. I believe it was 98. 89, just in time for the album. The first album you did with them is considered a prog rock masterpiece.
Oh, Perfect Symmetry?
Yes.
Well, there was some time in between because what happens? It's kind of an interesting story. Bill leaves. He moves out. Moves out with his girlfriend. I think he's just really sick and tired of the starving musician life. And I'm kind of stuck with this building because if I want to play the drums, I can't move to an apartment. So a buddy of mine just kind of walks in the door one day and goes, "Hey man, I'll give you $20 to rehearse." And the rest is kind of history now with the building in North Hollywood that I've owned for 27 years and it's going strong and everything's great. But what happened in between that time, I was rehearsing with a funk band. There's a band called Rockway, I think is what they were called at the time, a funk band from 3 to 6. and because my drums were always set up. Then I had another band that I played with from 6 to 9, and then from 9 to 12 I rehearsed with a band called Plain English, which is Charles and Astrid from the band Animotion. You know, here's a story where you restore your faith in humanity. Back in the day, and I'm sure James can attest to this, there was those deals with guys who had studios. Bands would come in and, hey man, we want you in our band. We can't really pay you, but when things start to roll, we're going to pay you. We'll pay you. Okay. Classics. It's like we have management interest. Okay, we all get it.
Right, right.
Like we always used to kid. It was Ronnie James Dio's mother's brother's cousin's sister's butcher's son who really likes us.
Right.
Anyway,
hey, you're gonna make it.
Yeah, no, exactly. So we're doing this rehearsing thing, and they're great. I can't believe that we didn't get a deal. The songs were phenomenal. It was right in that kind of new wave kind of thing. I was playing the whole electronic thing. I learned so much from them as far as sequencers and clicks and anything. Anyways, so what happens is I get the opportunity with Fate's Warning, which is a whole nother story, and I say, hey, I'm gonna, I have to leave the band. Most times, as James will attest to, the people that owe you the money will say, see ya.
Right.
They actually went to a credit card and paid me.
Oh.
Which restored my, I mean, they were great musicians. Yeah, that'll get a wow. Yeah, that's unbelievable. They were, besides just great people and great musicians, they were just, I'll never forget that because that never happened. But if you need someone to play, Hot Blooded, let me know.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I think everyone could use you as a drummer. Lord have mercy, you're amazing.
It makes me sound like a but okay. Like I always said, it's got to be one of two things. I got to really love the music, and I'll prove that by, I did a solo album with Joachim Kahns, a singer from Hammerfall years ago.
Yes.
I actually went to Sweden to do a one-off.
Wow.
And it wasn't it wasn't a festival.
Wow.
It was like a small, just because I loved the guy and I loved his music and I loved everything. Or it's got to be a lot of money. I can be bought.
Right, one of those
like James can be bought.
Yeah.
Anybody can be bought. Hey, don't.
Okay, how's that look for coleslaw for you? Is that good? Too much cabbage now, not enough carrot?
It's good. It's good. I would take the old two-knife thing
Okay.
and really
mince it up some more?
It's not a mixing, it's cutting it. It's gotta be
I
thin.
know.
It's
I'm
gotta
just
be
mixing
thin.
it too.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk about the new Warlord then.
And here's this dude in the middle of a field playing a cello in this beautiful shirt and my wife tells me, I said out loud, there's no way in hell this guy's playing with us.
Metal Mastication.